So I'm going to try to keep it fast. We've heard a lot of exciting things from these gentlemen. Brock told us how we can all become billionaires by becoming more impactful in the world. We've heard about how AI and blockchain can help with security, transparency, interoperability, and globalizing everything about our economy. So I'm going to just challenge us and say, this is great, but I need you to bring that power to healthcare. All right, so I'm going to skip a lot of this and you will have the slides, but just to set some expectations, there's a custom definition of what artificial intelligence, machine learning, and diseases of the aging are. And I'd like to give you a good sense of that. I have a case presentation which I will run through very quickly that defines for you the power of machine learning, that it can bring to the drug discovery and development process and to how we manage and treat diseases like cancer. I will run through the challenges of implementation that a lot of my friends here have already talked about, and then wrap it up with a framework for a solution that we're putting together to work across this. So as I mentioned earlier, my passion is to improve healthcare, and it's to do this by driving lower cost, effective, and accessible diagnostics, therapeutics, and tools to the healthcare system. So we all understand what machine learning is. I'm not going to spend too much time. The three domains that we really focus on in the healthcare area are machine learning, natural language processing, and vision. We leverage these for decision support. Decision support is absolutely critical for drug design and evaluation, as well as for treatment decision making. We heard a lot from Peter about how you can leverage these technologies to make decisions quickly. So if something is not working, you kill it quickly, and you move on to the next thing, you reallocate your resources, and you hedge your bets on the things that have the highest likelihood of success. Other things that matter: analytics, knowledge management, data infrastructure, clinical and laboratory workflow, and financial management. So let's say we have everything that we have here, right? We still need to maintain our health, and we'd love to live very long, right? We all want to live until we're 100, 150. But as we age, the likelihood of us getting certain diseases also increases. Look at heart disease, neurological diseases, where they impact our memory and our muscle movement. Conditions that deteriorate muscle and bone, like arthritis, and metabolic disorders like diabetes and obesity. These are all things that really matter to us. But cancer is a special one. If you look to your left and to your right, 1 out of 3 people in this room will eventually get cancer. And maybe these are strangers, you don't care about them. All right? So think about your spouse, your child, a brother, a sister, and a parent. 1 out of 5 people will die of cancer. So this matters to all of us. And we should all be rallying around the fight to address these diseases. So every disease follows the same process. And I just want to show this because as we look at case studies, we can extract key learnings from a very small pilot and start to expand that so that we can actually realize our vision around global health. So everything starts with prevention. This is where we take measures like running with our Nike shoes or not smoking to prevent disease. In the second one, you start to feel certain things, you don't feel so good, it worries you enough, you go to your doctor. The doctor then does a test where they screen in disease or screen it out. If they screen it in, they have to do additional tests to better define the disease and truly understand it so that they can then design a treatment regimen that suits you. Now, I as a patient will have my own personal information, but I could really benefit from population data where other people that were similar to me in some ways were treated a certain way and responded very well. So this is where some of those algorithms come into play, where as an individual, I can be treated with options that work good for other people like me. So the cycle goes on, and from those population data, you have the ability to draw insights into how best you can then prevent disease, diagnose disease, and treat it. So it's a continuous improvement cycle between a single patient and a population. And those linkages need to continue. And we need additional data sometimes that we are not aware of today, because we need machine learning to help us unveil those patterns and to recognize those the linkages between disease and such. So I'm going to quickly go through my patient. Her name is Patience. She's 56 years old. She feels two lumps in her breast while she's showering, and she decides to go to the doctor. The doctor asks her what's happened in the past. She'd had a heart attack before, and she also has diabetes. She has an aunt who has cancer and a cousin who also has cancer. So she goes through the steps that I just defined before. The doctor orders 2 tests, mammography and ultrasound. Now the problem is sometimes the machine misses it, sometimes it identifies something, but it doesn't tell you, is it just there, it doesn't matter, it's inconclusive, or is it deadly? You don't know. So machine learning can actually help triage these cases and make sure that the doctor spends most of his time on the difficult cases, and really in a resource-constrained manner, you save the doctor's time, and you also save your financial resources from doing additional tests and unnecessary treatment. So let's say one of those lumps is cancer. Another set of specialists, different institutions, different cities, wherever they may be in the world, come together, and then they work to clearly define that cancer. So they do biopsies to test the molecular and genetic profile. They do a bunch of radiology studies like PET, MRI, CT. And really the underlying question here is the cancer small? Is it big? Has it spread to other organs in the body? Is it in the bones? And in each of those situations, it basically defines a different treatment regimen. So this is absolutely critical to define the treatment one needs. Now, there's a lot of variation between the doctors in terms of what they see. So computer-assisted reading can actually help with this step, because staging using machine learning and classifying disease using that will help you come up with predictive analytics that are standard, consistent, fast, and accurate. And you only get one bite at the cake, right? So at that first treatment decision, if you make the right decision, you're not treating patients again, and the cancer doesn't necessarily have to come back. So basically that helps inform treatment. Now, when you have to go to treatment, another set of specialists come in. They do 3 things. One is they cut out the cancer, the surgery, or radiation to zap the cancer in place and kill it. And lastly, chemotherapy, where they design drugs for you to take. Now, the reason this is critical is that you have to make sure you remove the cancer, and you have to make sure you remove all of it. But at the same time, you don't want patients to suffer from any side effects. So you have to really carefully measure and take those margins when you remove that cancer. So machine learning can be really helpful to help doctors actually do what we call contouring, to actually really find the right margins and the right balance between the cancer and the normal, so that the cancer can be cured. And so in all of these things, machine learning can actually help with the margin assessment. And we can also imagine for the chemotherapy, where the drug design is, we can then use that population-based data to understand the best treatment for patients' type of cancer. And so when you look at all of this, I think machine learning does have a significant role. In instances where reimbursement and claims processing are critical, You can also have machine learning quickly tell you what the reimbursement is going to look like and actually how you would be reimbursed or if you would be reimbursed. So this can all be incorporated into the patient care. So once the patient is gone, we should not stop there. We should follow them throughout their life, understand if the cancer comes back. If it doesn't, keep looking at those health parameters, activity, and other motivators, and actually keep aggregating that information from our patients and the population. And if we're doing it systematically, it's streamlined, it's structured, and that data can be intelligently interrogated. We can learn about new things about this cancer. And frankly, that can also help us then design some of the drugs that we would need. So I'm going to take just a few more minutes and explain how drug discovery and development work and where perhaps machine learning and other technologies we've been talking about today could be helpful. So the drug discovery process is quite complicated. It starts with biomedical research, and then it's followed by a three-step process for human testing. And that allows you to get one medicine approved by the FDA. In order to get that one medicine, you need about 10 to 12 at this stage. And you need thousands at this discovery stage. So basically, your rate of failure is 90%. To make matters worse, the process is long. It's over 10 years. It's expensive. It's over $2.5 billion per drug approved. Now, patients will likely need more than 2 drugs for cancer. You always require combinations. So this is really quite a challenge for all of us. We can't control healthcare costs or have efficacious treatments come to us at this point. So what could machine learning do? In that $2.5 billion cost, we're also counting for all the drugs that failed in the process. So this is where triaging helps, because if you don't waste your time on those future failures, then you will have more money to resort to this. So machine learning can actually help you predict effectiveness and toxicity early on in the process. And so that will actually help reduce late-stage failures, which are cost drivers. Secondly, machine-learned algorithms can help design molecules and optimize them. So really, they would shorten that time frame into perhaps, let's say, even if it's a fraction, it's still significant from a cost and time standpoint. For the clinical trials, it's important to find the right patients with the right conditions at the right time. And part of the challenge is people's clinical records and health medical records are all over the place. So imagine when we're talking about patients, she had over 6 specialists looking after her, multiple tests all over the place. So if all that information can be accessed in an aggregated way and interrogated, it'll be easy for drug manufacturers to actually come to regions where they can quickly identify those patients and actually work with them to develop those drugs. So the bottom line is machine learning in the drug discovery process can make it faster, more effective, and cheaper. And patients can enjoy these drugs. So this is just a host of issues that a lot of people have talked about already. I really wanted to touch on the data infrastructure, standards, interoperability, and clinical integration are really, really critical. And I really feel that especially the people working on blockchain have spent a lot of time worrying about data infrastructure and privacy and transparency, and that we really need to be marrying that technology with some of what we're doing in the healthcare space to actually make a difference. On policy, we have drug approval processes and hospital policy. Now, how does that change when we bring new technologies like AI, machine learning, and blockchain? So these are all issues that need to be addressed. Awareness, is it hype? Is it not? What is it truly capable of? What are definitive measures of success for such a long and complicated process as we're looking at it today? And then lastly, thinking about business models. Who puts the money in? When? What are key investment drivers? What is the return? And how does one protect IP and trade secrets, especially in the face of pressures to be transparent? So these are really big issues that not a single person can address alone. I think what this really needs is an entire ecosystem of players to come together and rally around our shared ambition for global health. So in this case, we're forming a group called AAIH, the Alliance for AI in Healthcare, and really looking at it holistically, starting from biomedical discovery, clinical research, diagnostics and medical devices, and some health systems and clinics that are doing direct patient care, and some infrastructure players to help us think through some of these technologies. And collectively, we want to be able to sort of help say, where are the needs, what will the next generation of infrastructure be that's needed to address some of our critical questions, and how can we all come around and rally around this together? So disclosure, not all these companies have joined. We have 15 commitments, including GE Healthcare, Amazon, Insilico, who actually works very well with Professor Youngsuk, and a few others. And so I think the moral here is that we really need to put our heads together. And where I think the province here of Gyeongbok comes in is you have a strong meditech with Sinteo, Suseong, and yes, it might be early days, but I think there is some hope that we can start thinking about the strategy. I don't think that healthcare is quite where the other sectors are yet, but that should not stop us from starting today to start working on this. So as we look at things like education, medical hospitals, devices, drugs, manufacturing, testing, all these are things we will need. So I'll just wrap up saying that our mission is to educate, advocate, promote, and establish measures to affirm the value of AI. So we'll be focusing on regulatory measures with FDA and other regulators, standards, intellectual property, and investment and capital formation. So I really hope that you guys can take the key takeaways here, and I'm not going to read them or go through them, is in order to make an impact for all of us, we need to think globally. We need to bring all the healthcare stakeholders together, patients, payers, policymakers, pharma, the public. We need to come together and we need to rally around that. So I really want to challenge my technology friends here that bring it on. We need this in healthcare. Thank you.